Okay, fun. Welcome to Becoming the Only Brand Worth Knowing. Today, we are going to be focused on your customer experience. Does everyone know what a customer experience is? Kinda. So customer experience is it's different to service. Service is part of your customer experience. Your customer experience is every single thing, every single touch point, every single thought, feeling. I'm trying to say experience, right? But experience, it's how they experience your brand. Okay. So it's not just like after they buy from you, what happens then? That's your customer journey. It's everything. Okay. It's every single touch point they have with your brand. And there are two components that make it up. So there's the product or the service, and then there's people. So today, what we're going to be doing is focusing on people. We're going to, it's that customer obsession. We're going to create your brand to be customer obsessed, because we feel like there's so much work and emphasis that goes into marketing and sales and getting them to become your customer, but it's probably more important, like more energy, more time, more focus needs to go into what happens like as your customer, in my opinion, and lots of other very educated people. So it's not just according to Amy. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to like list off each way, but we're going to go through all 6 things together. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to get you to draw 3 big circles on your page, on one page. Okay, 3 big ones. These are the foundations of your brand that we're going to create here, and this is going to end up being what we refer back to every step along the way. So in the first circle, you're going to write down your values, your brand values, your business values. What's important to you? Maybe just pick 3. If you're like, fuck, I got like 10, maybe just pick like 3 big ones. Then in the second one, you're going to write, like, what does your customer want and why? So this is obviously going to be related to what you do and sell. But I think the why, if we really get into why they want it, what's important to them. What's important to them that's the little bits and pieces. So like, is time more important to them? Is looking good more important to them? Is, I don't know, having things feel easy important to them? Is quality important to them? Is enjoying life important to them? Is making money important to them, you know? And then in the third circle, you're going to write, how do you want your customers to feel? Like, how do you want to make your customers feel? How do you want them to think about you? What do you want them saying about you when their friends ask, or their friends say, oh, I need this that's related to you? When you're done, just type done into the chat box. Beautiful. Okay, beautiful. All right, let's move on to the next one. So this, I mean, obviously add to this as you go. I like this is going to be, if you know, when I do masterclasses, I have all these ideas, and then like I'll be in the shower later on and I'll be like, oh my God, I forgot to add that in. So this is a work in progress. Please keep adding to it. These are the foundations of everything we're going to be working on. So when we're going through each of the steps, we're going to come back and go, oh, does it tick some of these boxes? Okay, because you always want to make sure that you're ticking at least, when I say box, I should say circles, shouldn't I? Because we did circles. So if we just make sure that we're ticking one item in each of those 3 circles, okay? Just to make sure that it's actually relative to your brand, because sometimes when I run this, we go like really fucking out there because it's really fun to get this creative and start thinking like this, but we want to always make sure it's relative to what you do, how you do it, your customer, obviously, and how you want them to feel. Okay, so you're going to need another page for this, and I want you to divide the page. This is going to get hard, but we need to divide it into five boxes. You can do circles if you want. I always say circles because it's easier, because otherwise I'm like, oh, I can't make them equal. But you do you, whatever works. We just want 5 sections, okay? Now, we're going to be covering all the senses, like, you know, taste, smell, touch, feel, see, and hear. So I would write that in each one. Touch, feel, I've done as 1. There's smell, taste, see, and hear. Now, this might sound absurd, especially if you have a service-based business, but there's a method to my madness. And it's because, like all of these things, predominantly hear and smell, which taste and smell kind of fall into that same category, invoke such an emotional response with people that triggers the memories. So if you can attach your brand, your experience as a sensory experience, all they have to do is catch a whiff of something or hear a song or hear a phrase, and it's going to take them back to a memory of you. It's going to make them think of you. So we obviously want to make that as on brand and as positive as possible. But these are just ways that we're going to brainstorm to fit into each one so that you can bring them in throughout your messaging. You can bring it out through all your different experiences, your touch points when they interact with you. There's lots of different ways we can bring this in. And this was, I learned about this in 2008 when I was working at Holiday Inn as they did a global rebrand. And one thing they did, which blew me away, was they created a scent for the hotel, for Holiday Inn, and they still have it now. And the idea was because they wanted to create a home away from home, a place that people felt familiar. So what they did is they got the smell and they put it in the lobby. So it would be the first thing you smell when you walked in. So the minute you walked into a Holiday Inn, you smelt that smell and felt like you were home, wherever you were in the world. Okay, so let's start with taste. Taste can be a really, let's look at your values and how you want to make people feel, like what you want people saying when they work with you, and we'll bring in like what kind of problems you're solving. So for example, in the past, I've done one with a photographer, and she wanted to make it light and fun. So it was almost like this childlike experience where your inhibitions go out the window and you just feel a lot more relaxed and at ease in front of the camera. So can you guess what she introduced into her photo shoots?
Lollies.
Yeah, lollies.
That's the only thing I could think of for mine. I'm like, well, that's.
But that's okay, because it's like, if that's what you're associating with your brand, you don't have to give it to them. There are other ways we can go about it, right? Like Brooke Villeneuve, like, I mean, if you go to her events, you will get donuts, but she's like really integrated. She doesn't taste like donuts, but she's made her brand, that brand association. So you eat a donut, you think of her. You know what I mean? Like, we don't actually physically have to give people it. There are other ways that we can bring it through. Yeah. But whatever it is, and don't worry, we don't have to like nail this. We're just brainstorming ideas, right? And if you're like, fuck, this is just never going to work, don't worry. It might, in like 6 months' time, you might go, oh, this is how it's going to work. So chuck down some ideas, and then we'll move on to smell, because smell's closely associated to taste anyway. Smell can be like, Jenny, a smell would probably be easier for you, because when you're making like the low tox ingredients, you're using essential oils.
Yeah.
So that one's probably a lot easier. So when people make it, they're thinking of you.
Yeah, well, I was even thinking fruity as well for taste. Because then that's sort of like more healthier than lollies, but like, yeah.
Yeah.
Then it can still be fun, can't it? Like.
Exactly. Yeah. You're like, because all your branding and everything's bright colors as well. So it fits in perfectly. It's like a natural progression. Sometimes we'll incidentally do these things, right? And the smell could be like, especially for you, Jen, like when people are at your workshops, like that's when you could like have a scent. So you could, maybe you wear it and it becomes your signature scent when you're running events. Maybe you've got a candle burning or something, you know, like a fragrance diffuser, or I'm just throwing ideas out. You don't have to do that. But yeah, it's just, smell's one of those things that it's like, I mean, it's different. It's so individual. So it's so different for everyone. But it invokes emotion, which is what we want. Okay, touch, feel. So when I say feel, that's when we can like go into feelings. Could be like, even, I don't know, if you're sending something out, like what it feels like to open a present or open a box or cut ribbon, or, you know, just something, anything like that.
So when you say feeling, like touch and feel, but feeling could it be an emotional feeling as well? Okay, because touch is a harder one for me.
Touch is a very hard one for you.
Yeah, but I could do a feeling.
Yeah. We're going to do C next. So
Amy?
what they say. Yeah.
It's Jackie.
Oh, hi, Jackie. Put your camera on. Why are you hiding from me?
Oh, because I'm trying to work as well.
Tell me, Jackie, tell me.
Just before we move too far on, smell and touch for service that I'm providing as a VA, land subdivisions. How do I go about that?
So what would you like to be associated with? What kind of smell do you want to be associated with?
Probably calming, I guess.
Yeah. Well, why are people wanting
less stressful? Because they want me to do all this shit work for them.
Exactly, because they value their time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So calming, I automatically think peppermint, because I have peppermint tea before I go to bed to calm my brain down so I'll sleep better.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I'll get where you're going from now.
Yeah, you get where I'm going with that? I just threw that at you though. You make it yours.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're like a VA, the even thing is like, and we'll get to that later, like we'll get to later where all of this can come in. Don't worry, we're going to cover like everything. Is like, maybe you send them like actually, you know what, I'm not gonna go into that yet, because there's a whole fucking section dedicated to that. But just play with ideas. And even if you're like, we just lock into the feelings, we'll integrate it all together later.
Yeah. Okay, no worries. Thanks.
Okay. Then we've got, that's okay. See? So what are they looking at? This can be your branding colors. This can be, I don't know, maybe you wear your hair a certain way that they're going to associate with you. And then we've got here, and that's your words. That's your writing. That's your brand tone of voice. That's the things you say. That can also be a song, a type of music. Maybe you've got like an email sign off that you do, or maybe you always change it. So it's like, oh, what's it going to be? Something they'll hear and associate with you. Later, when you're diving into this a bit more, that's when I want you to actually go back and make sure it ticks each one of those circles. Hey, Sarah. I will catch you up very soon. We're just about to move on to the third thing. But while you're waiting, if you put 3 circles on a page, 3 big ones, and in one of them list your brand values. In the second one, list what your customer wants and why, what's important to them. And in the third one, write down all the feelings that you want to make people feel when they think of you. All right. Has everyone got their sensory boxes, at least one thing in each? If you don't, just have them in there. You can come back to it later. And you can have the replay if you need the replay. Okay, so the third thing is a bit of a what's everyone else doing? But when I say this, I'm not talking about your competitors. I want you to write down, actually, we'll get a new page and I want you to divide it into 3 sections, just 3 sections. If you can't fill in all 3, don't stress, like it's fine. But now that we're thinking about this, you're going to actually start noticing this as you go about your day-to-day life. And in each of those 3 sections, I want you to pick one brand that you love, that you buy from, and I want you to dig into why. So the 3 questions I want you to be asking yourself is, how do they make you feel? What do they do that you love or think is so fucking clever? I understand that not everyone probably nerds out as hard to this shit as I do. So maybe just like something that you love about the experience. And then the third one is, why do you love them and why do you buy from them? So I'm going to use my all-time favorite example. And if you've known me for a while, you'll know that that's Go-To Skincare. Right from the beginning, their whole brand is about making like skincare simple instead of it being confusing. And her tone of voice and the way they talk about it, the packaging, everything, it's fun. It's quirky. It's fun, right? They're playful. And I love buying from them because right at the beginning, I can't even remember when, I think it was like 2013, 2012, when they first came out. What they did is the people that would buy from them more than once, they would send them a cake with a picture of their face on it to say thank you for being our customer. Like they just did these outrageous things. And, you know, like even using the skincare, it smelt nice. It was fun getting the boxes because when you'd get the box, it had like the instructions were funny, like will not cook you dinner. Like the whole personality of the brand was infused at every single touch point. So even when you ordered on the website, the email you got straight after was funny. It was like they did a play because you know how they give you order numbers and they're so long. They're like, quick, write this down. Like it's the whole experience was fun. Then a few years ago, they brought out a loyalty program to reward you for buying from them, right? And instead of doing it from scratch, they added up every dollar you'd ever spent with them and then automatically put you and included you in the tiers, which I thought was really amazing and just so thoughtful, right? And if you made the top, I was like appalled at how much I'd spent with them, to be honest. But when I'd added it up over these, I was like, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. But I was like in level 4. Anyway, for level 5, you actually got to FaceTime Zoe Foster-Blake. She, the owner of the company, for those that you don't know, she was FaceTiming the people in level 5. You got a FaceTime call. And then from then on, they've gone, and as the company's grown, they run events, but they invite their customers. They don't chuck on influencer events where they just use influencers. They invite their fucking customers. They even have a Facebook group that they run, but like with thousands and thousands of people in it, called the Go-To Gang, which is really clever marketing. Because, and what they do is people ask questions. So that's how they know what products to develop. They've got all of this market research, but it's actually a place you go to because you know you're going to get great referrals, great recommendation, great products. Like it's people that really know their shit, including the caliber of the people in the group. Like everything they do is amazing. And the reason that I even bought from them in the first place is because, and I had to think about this, I was like, why was I already loving Zoe Foster-Blake? And it's because she was an author and I used to love reading her novels. That's why I knew about her. So she was actually a columnist in a reviewing, a beauty columnist for like Dolly and Cosmo, and then ended up being an author and all of that. So I followed her for quite some time, but she played off that and created the brand so that you felt like you were her friend. So as you can see, that's like a very loyal fucking long journey that I've spent with them. And that's some ideas of why I do and always will and will always recommend them. Okay, so I want you to pick, so if you're service-based, go find product businesses. If you're product-based, find service-based businesses or like bigger companies, someone that doesn't do anything remotely similar to what you do. And I want you to like dissect what it is about them that you love and why. Also, I understand that not everyone cares about cool branding. I do, but not everyone does. But also, like, does your customer? Just get at least one brand. Or if you're like, fuck, I've got 3, I've just got to move inside because I forgot to charge my laptop. And it doesn't have to make sense about how it will apply to your business. Just get the brands up there and we'll do all that later. Okay, has everyone got at least one? Can you just hit that you're done if you've got at least one for me? Hey, and if you can't think of any, like, also feel free to ask people, ask your friends, ask people you interact with, ask your customers. All right, cool. Beautiful. All right, so now we're going to move on to way number 4. This one's a bit of a beast. So we're going to look at onboarding and support. So you're going to need another page. And I want you to do in the middle of the page, like if you do it horizontal, I want you to run a line, just a straight line through there. And what we're going to do is we're going to create like a timeline and you're going to map out your customer's experience or their journey, right? So from the second someone purchases from you, right up until they receive your product service offering, and maybe after, what's involved? Emails, what's involved? I don't know. I want you to map it all out in the order. So you can, like, a timeline, you can run some up, like do a line up, write that out, write it down, however you need to fit it in. Just pick one product or service for this, but later you can do all of them. You can rinse and repeat everything we're doing. Like, this is the foundational stuff. So this is like gathering all the information, but the next two, where you can go through and do for each of your products and services individually. I'm just going to grab my water while you're doing that. I'll be right back. Okay. You guys good? Got most of it mapped out? Yep. Right. Now, we get to the fun part. What can you include based on your three foundational circle boxes that we did at the beginning? Circle boxes. You know what I mean? Circles that we did at the beginning. What could you include that would completely surprise and delight your customers, making the whole experience feel the way you want to make them feel? Based on knowing your customer, you know why they're coming to you, you know what they want, what they need. What are some things that would just blow them away? That would go like, holy shit. It doesn't have to be a cake with their face on it, unless that spoke to you. Then go for it. What information could you provide them with that would make them feel like they're in exactly the right place with exactly the right person? That's you, by the way. And these don't have to be like really elaborate. Like, it could just be anticipating their needs, especially for you, Jackie, as a VA, like anticipating their needs, anticipating what they need next, anticipating something before they've even thought to ask for it.
I got a question, Amy, because this one's hard for me because there's not, at the moment, I don't really have much offerings as such. But like, I've been playing around with ManyChat and using that to start interacting with people. So it sort of makes sense. If someone requests something, like a recipe, I'm sending them a link. But I'm thinking, I could probably then follow up with something like, what's your biggest challenge? Is there something else I can help you with, and try and, like, you know, somehow, yeah.
Or, hey, I was just putting this recipe together and it made me think of you. Here it is.
Yep.
Right? That's thoughtful. That's surprising. That's delighting. Delightful, not delighting, delightful. You know, and you're anticipating, and they might be like, oh, actually, because sometimes when we ask people questions Especially using ManyChat, which is what's that on? That's on Instagram, Facebook.
Facebook and Instagram, yeah.
Okay. It's a noisy space. You don't know what mind frame they're on when they're on it. You don't know if maybe they're having a heated fucking discussion or they've read something that's triggered them and then someone asks you a question. What else do you need help with? It's like your brain shuts down and you're like, can't even. But if you're like, hey, I made this and thought of you, here you go. They might be like, oh, actually, while I've got you, I actually want to know if you've got a recipe or something for this. You see how you can do that, but do it in a way that doesn't cause them to go, oh, fuck, I can't think of the answer to that. I've got nothing. I'll just ignore it.
Yeah. So if I come up with a new recipe in a couple of weeks, I sort of send it to everybody who's interacted with me in DMs.
Yeah. And just be like, hey, this is going in my new ebook, but I wanted to send it to you because I thought of you while I was making it. You know?
Yeah.
Because, and then that's the thing, like it's what, the other thing you can do, actually have a whole section for this, maybe a separate page. What questions have you noticed that people often ask in the lead up, like before they buy, in the lead up, during, and after? And then what's going to help them achieve the results they're here to get? How can you build instant rapport with your customer to put them at ease and feel like they know you before they meet you, before they experience what you do, maybe before they get what they're getting? This is going to have a lot to do with words, how you speak, like making sure you're not like we, it's I. They're buying from you, the person. Do you know what I mean? So it's using personalized language as well. You know how, like, when you first meet someone, let's say like you're at a wedding and, you know, you're seated at a table and you don't know everyone, but you're about to spend the next 4 hours with them. What do you do? Well, actually, I won't ask that question. Here's what I do as an extrovert to feel like I'm going to have the best time ever and include everyone, is I immediately search for a background of relatedness with people. So it might be like, you know, like I'm kind of like, I'm interested in this, like asking the questions and like, go, you know, and it's like literally like this almost rapid fire thing that happens in the space of 10, 15 minutes where I'll do everything I can to find how we're connected and everyone else. So you got that background of relatedness, that one thing that you've got in common, which is actually easy because they're buying from you, right? So why did you make it? Why did you come up with it? Why is it? But making it about them. Because again, you want to find that background of relatedness to build that relationship. I'm not saying you have to get on a phone call. This can all be done in an email or a message, or do you know what I mean? Or, you know, maybe you send a voice message. Maybe you make them a funny video and send it to them on Instagram or however you've been communicating with it. Like you can get clever. Whatever works for you in your business, that's how you build that rapport. They hear your voice. They hear you how you speak. Like invite them into your world. Share something about yourself. It doesn't have to be like deeply fucking personal. You don't have to trauma dump or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, you know. And the last thing I want you to think of is what would make your customer drop everything, pick up their phone, and take a picture to share it with their world? How can you infuse your brand values and personality into leaving them feeling so fully seen and taken care of? And this, Jackie, this is like, you know, this is where we could, maybe part of the onboarding process is they get like a welcome gift or something like that. But it's not just like a bunch of random shit. It's like deeply personal. So this is where your smell could come in, but it's like, okay, like, I don't know, maybe, maybe you're sending them like a list of fun things, or maybe it's like a clever email or something like that. And you're sending them a list of fun things that they can go do with their newfound free time because you're taking care of everything else. That would be depending on your brand values, obviously. I've got a thing that I'm working on at the moment that's fun bingo. So I'm creating a Canva document for like a launch that I'm doing soon. So people will be able to have it on their phone, kind of like my screensaver now. And in the picture boxes, I'll have suggestions. And then Havana and I wrote a list of 40 suggestions, right? Of fun things that you can do if you don't know what's fun for you. So it's like discovering what fun looks like. And then we turn it into a game. So we make it bingo. And then the idea is you have it on your phone. So you're like, oh, haven't done that yet. I'm going to go do that until you tick them all off. It's fun, it's interactive, and also it solves the problem because 98%, I just made that up, but I actually think it's deeply accurate. When I ask people, when I run a Fuck Yes Life workshops and I ask people what they do for fun, they're like, fuck, I don't know. I don't know. Right? So I'm like, you don't have to worry about it. I made you a whole ass list. I sat down with an 8-year-old and wrote you a big long list, and you can pick from it. And then even if it's go and do those things, you can then discover it. I don't know if it works or not yet. I haven't launched it, but there you go. Like it's just getting creative like that and thinking, okay, we've got, because all those questions I've asked you gives you all this information, right? And you're like, okay, got my 3 circles, tick, 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 done. And they don't have to cost money, you know, like you don't have to have tens of thousands of dollars in a customer experience account just to spend money on your customers, right? Like it's the thoughtfulness. It's the anticipating their needs. It's getting so into their world that their experience of you is like, fuck, they get it. Like they know me. They know me better than my fucking husband knows me. My mom, that's what you want to do. Because like they're coming to you because you've nailed all your marketing, right? You're in front of them. This is how you just take it up a notch. So it's like, I always think if I was customer obsessed, if I was obsessed with my customers, what would I do for them? What would be fun to do? Fun's a brand value of mine. That's why I use that word a lot. I don't for one second think that you should take that on board if it's not aligned with you. I just wanted to say that. So it's like, what would have them feel? What would be, I like everything to feel fun. So what would be really fun for me to do for them that would be fun for them to receive? What would make this fun? Especially because a lot of the work I do with people is deeply, deeply, deeply uncomfortable. Isn't it, Jenny?
Yes. So I'm like, how would Amy do? Because mine can be quite boring. And that's the whole reason why we wanted it to like bring fun into it so that it's not just doing these boring chores, whatever. But yeah, it's still tricky to.
Wait, what? Actually, it's not. Why don't you make one like a science experiment? Because essentially that's what you're doing is science, right?
Yeah.
You're mixing chemicals, you're mixing bits and pieces. Jenny has it's all about going low tox. So making your own cleaning products, making your own like bath, what are they called? Bath bombs, just lots of things like that, right? So why don't you make one like a science experiment? Why don't you make one that's like fucking putting vinegar and bicarb together and it like explodes everywhere, but they can do it with their kids while they're cleaning the kitchen? Why don't you do like, why don't you use like my fun bingo idea? And because I don't care, you're using it in the cleaning industry. Do you know what I mean? Like, why don't you go, hey, one of the, you know, how I teach about making the mundane magic, like finding fun in the mundane chores. Maybe you can actually like have something there. Here are 3 ways that I make cleaning fun because no one wants to fucking clean.
Yeah.
I don't care what you say. It's not fun. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I was even thinking like, I don't know, I've been playing around with the idea for a while and I'm not sure how I'd make it work, but like some kind of app, and like the app could like somehow bring some fun into it, but I'm not quite sure how to make that work. But
yes, I mean, I'd market test that. For me, an app I wouldn't use because I'm like, another fucking app, no thanks. Add it to my hundreds on my phone that I don't use, you know? So it's like, right. So if people think like that, they're already busy. It's like, what else could that look like?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking
Yeah.
like, there's some funny, like, like with the DM thing, I was thinking, well, sometimes I could maybe even like some of the funny memes you see, like, like more stressed out mum, trying to do all the things sort of thing. Yeah, I
Give me
don't know.
something to laugh at. Yeah, I think you're on the right track. I think you spend some more time on this, you're going to like turn this, absolutely. The ideas will flow.
Yeah.
But that's exactly the right path, right? That we're thinking about here. So we want to always be crystal clear about every single touch point. We need to map out their journey so we know what's happening and when, because I think sometimes we get so used to our business and how things are, like even the wording. So with the icon effect, when I run that, like I looked at the questionnaire because I do an onboarding questionnaire and I'm like, these are fucking boring. So I actually sat down and was like, right, I got my little things that I do that put me in this really fun kind of like cheeky mood. And I sat there and wrote it from that place. So I want it to be fun to fill out. I want it to be fun to read. Like this is where like Jay's a copywriter. So I'm like, I keep going to say, this is where Jay comes in. So it's like, having the language that you use, because the language is so potent and important, right? Because it's sure, you could write like, oh, thanks for your order, it's on its way, blah, blah, blah. Or you can get clever and creative. Check your brand values. How do you want people to feel? Right, what language would I use? What wording do I use? Do I chuck a fucking GIF in here? Like, what can I do to have that translate through to there and to every single touch point along the way, right? This is time consuming, yes, but you do it once and then you've got a template. So it's like tick, 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 ready to go. When I used to work in event management, I worked for Crown Casino in Perth. And it was fucked. I had to do 18 events a week. And that's just what I was managing each week. I had to like start planning and getting everything for them 3 to 6 months in advance. So not only am I running 18 events a week, I can't even do the math on that, but times that for the next 3 fucking months, right? And I was like, so many times I'd sit down at my computer and just fucking cry because I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get this done in the next 8 hours. But we created checklists, right? And that checklist will get printed and put onto every single person's file. So that way the customer experience, the idea was the customer experience never slipped, not once. Because you looked at that, you ticked that, and then that was next. So it was a seamless, cohesive experience according to their brand values, which is very much like exceed your customer's expectation. And it's like you can't miss it. So this is how you get to create something like that for your business, because then later, if you want to hire someone, they can just pick it up and go. The idea was if I got hit by a car on the way to work, someone could pick it up, know exactly where I was at and be able to continue. We're not going to look at it from that way. We just want to have a really beautiful, fun, whatever your feelings, customer experience is, right? Do you have a question, Jen? Me?
No, sorry. I'm telling the kid to be quiet that's walking in.
Okay.
Till I mute myself.
Okay. So way number 5 is creating loyalty. Okay. People are naturally going to be loyal anyway, because you've got this awesome customer experience. You provide them with this fucking amazing solution to their problem. But what can you do to reward repeat customers? Like, what can you do to reward them? This is where the surprise and delight factor comes in. Someone, I don't know, maybe someone like has bought off you a lot. Maybe they keep rebooking. Maybe they keep coming to your workshops. Maybe they're telling all their friends about you and you're getting all these referrals. Like, like what can you do to reward them? And at what stage will you reward them? You don't have to like advertise this and put it out there like a program. You can actually just have it there. So you surprise and delight them when this happens, this happens, this happens, right? So maybe it's their second or third purchase. Maybe it's their 1-year anniversary since they worked with you. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe they've been working with you for a year. Maybe they've been working with you for 2. Like, have those kind of points that you're like, right, I'm going to do, and that is going to do that. We used to, I was in network marketing for ages. And what we used to do is once people hit a certain tier, we'd send them those big fuck off massive balloons, you know, the ones you can't even fit in your car, and like have it personalized. And it was just like a fun way to celebrate them, right? They didn't expect it and it was fun. So even stuff like that, right? As long as it's cohesive with your brand values and what you're here to do. Also, what special occasions can you celebrate them during? I mean, yeah, there's birthdays, but what else? Maybe it's their business birthday if you're a business coach, or maybe it's like their website's just gone live, or maybe, I don't know, maybe you could do it seasonally. Maybe it's a time of year because you want to associate your brand with that time of year so they think about you. It's all about, also, who could you collaborate with to reward your loyal customers and enhance their experience even further? I'm going to refer to GoTo again because they're like the holy grail of fucking brands in my eyes. They do it with gin. They do it with 4 Pillars gin. Nothing to do with their fucking brand at all, but they do it and they label it, and it's like a peachy fucking labeled 4 Pillars gin that's only made for their customers. So it's like, if you know your customer that deeply, right? You know what they like. Who could you collaborate with to enhance their experience even further?
I don't know. I just had an idea. Bounce it off you. See what like. What do you think? It's like, you know, don't know how sustainable it'll be, but definitely initially it might help. Like, you know, people that have been with us forever. Like, I was thinking maybe I could like ask them what recipe could I create just for them?
Exactly. Why don't you fucking organize a FaceTime with them and be like, hey, I've got some questions. And while we're here, or let's, I don't know, make it together or whatever. But yeah do it.
Because I could, make it for them so then they feel special, but then I still get to share it with like everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I've got an idea. Amazing.
But then also what you could do is put a box together and have all the ingredients sourced for them and just send it to the people that have been with you forever. Not all of them, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for one recipe. And even just the measured amounts.
Yeah.
Fun, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the final way, I skipped ahead. I always do that. Sorry. This is where we'd look at having a referral program set up. This is where we'd look at how we're going to get that user-generated content, right? So if you want people to create content for you to promote your business, how can you get that from them? How can you incentivize them? So when did I do it? 2020? 2020. I started launching my mastermind by doing Instagram lives with people that had just finished. So the reason I did that is they could promote their business on my account to my audience and talk about what they do. And the second thing was I got in front of their audience while they talked about their experience about what I do. So I get that social proof, but it's win-win and everyone's happy to do it, right? So what can you do? Because user-generated content is key. It's that messy, personalized, real experience, feedback, viewpoint. And then the last thing is like having you associated with a sensory or a date association. I was reading about KFC in Japan. It's such a random example, but it just made me laugh so much because I was like, that's actually genius. So they did all these billboards. I can't remember who they collaborated with. I've got the example in the course content, but they collaborate anyway, and it was all about Christmas equals KFC. Christmas equals these buckets. And it took so much that every year that's like what a lot of families do for their Christmas dinner is have KFC, because they associate KFC buckets with a Christmas dinner. I'm not saying you have to go and do that, but you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, is it season? The minute the season changes, am I going to update the charms on my necklaces or my bracelets, or am I going to buy a whole new set because this is what I'm feeling for this season? It's Jenny, Christmas is coming up. You know, buy this book, make your own gifts. Don't spend thousands of dollars on shit that's going to end up in landfill. Make something they're going to use. Jackie, maybe it's like if you're, I don't know, like maybe you're like, oh, my customers are predominantly mums. Maybe in the lead up to school holidays, you anticipate, you're like, right, we've got 3 weeks before it's school holidays. Like, here's what I've got planned. Here's what I need from you before they're even thinking about it, right? So people, you know what I mean? So it's like people like school holidays, oh, I'm okay because I've got Jackie. Okay, that's it. Is everyone feeling like excited? Yeah? Are the ideas, is your brain exploding with ideas?
Too much idea, too much things to do. Too much
Good.
to do. So it's so nice. Thank you so much.
You're so well. Hey, and Jen, don't forget you can do it gradually and slowly. Like, I ran this course with people last year, and one of them messaged me the other day and she said, I look at it and I schedule in time, and then I go, right, I'm going to bring that one thing to life. And then when
Yes.
that's done and executed well, I'm going to move on to the next thing. You do not have to do this all overnight. Now, also, I am very aware that I've given you so fucking much to think about. And that's because I've given you the entire contents of my 6-week course in an hour. So you actually have everything you need to completely run with that and grow it and flesh it out. Can I have your brain on my business for 6 weeks? That is also available to you, because the Icon Effect is starting after the school holidays, and we're dedicating a week to each topic. It will be a much more, you get a recorded video that I record earlier on in the week, and then we meet for a group coaching session. I'll also be getting a questionnaire from you. So we're working on your game plan, your customer experience plan together in a live working, like a Google Doc. So you're working on it and I'm working on it as well. And then we finish up the 6 weeks with a one-on-one call, so we can take all the work that we've done and bring it all together. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, I'll send an email out with the link so you can have a read about the course and what's involved. It'll be kicking off on the 15th of July. So what we also do, I feel like I didn't warn people enough properly last time, is we work on, like, sometimes you find yourself with the customers you've got and they're fantastic, but actually you have a much bigger vision for your business and you don't know how to get from here to there. That's what we do in the Icon Effect. So we take your business to that next level. We start speaking to those customers that you're like, they're my dream. That's what I want to be doing. I was about to go into other examples, but I won't. So that's what the Icon Effect is. I'll email that out to you, but I just want to check, does anyone have any questions? Is anyone stuck on anything and they're like, fuck, can I ask you this quickly now so I can get to work on it?
Amy, can I just, so on that first one that we did, where we did the 3 things, we had the brand values, the customer wants and whys, and the thing. When we're going back and checking everything, are we looking to check off one thing from each of those 3 at each point?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. You always want to go back to make sure that everything you're doing aligns with how you want your customers to feel, your brand values, and that it's directly related to the problem you're solving. Now, you might notice that maybe your brand values aren't what you thought you were as you go about this, and that's okay, because you can change them at any time, okay? So don't feel boxed in, because I've also had that happen where they're like, fuck, actually, all my words keep coming back to this, but they're not in my brand values. Change them, make them your brand values. Sometimes we get caught up in like boxing ourselves in, but we don't. It's your business. You get to make the rules. That's the funnest thing about being a business owner, right? Is you get to make the rules. You get to create that customer experience. These outrageous ideas that you cannot wait, like they make you giggle with fucking joy because you can't believe you get to do this. That's what business is supposed to be like, right? Okay, good job. Have fun fleshing it all out. If you start bringing them to life, and they like, feel free to tag me on Instagram and share me what's happening and what you've noticed has changed and how people reacted. I live for that shit.
Thanks,
All right.
Amy.
My pleasure. Thank you for joining me live. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Hey.
Bye.
Bye.